12 celebrities who almost died on 9/11 and their stories. Mark Wahlberg was supposed to board American Airlines Flight 11, along with Seth MacFarlane. At the same time, he was invited to attend a film festival in Toronto. He changed his plans and decided to charter a jet with some of his friends. On September 11, Larry Silverstein, leaseholder of the World Trade Center properties, was supposed to be in his office in the North Tower on the 88th floor, but luckily for him, his wife insisted him to go and see the dermatologist. He was out of his office and escaped inevitable death when the plane struck. Fortunately, his children Roger and Lisa were not at work that day too. The Duchess of York, Sarah Ferguson, was filming an interview on Good Morning America on the morning of September 11, 2001. She finished up the segment and was on her way to her office on the 101st floor of the North Tower, when she heard the terrible news. Greer Epstein rarely ever left her desk at work, but on the morning of September 11, one of her colleagues at Morgan Stanley managed to talk her into taking a cigarette break at around 8:40 a.m. As she stepped out to have her smoke, she saw people looking up at the sky. She watched as debris rained down from the towers, and wondered what exactly was happening. As she stood there watching, the second plane flew into the South Tower, where her office was.
I never took a break before noon. It was something that happened that day. And thank God for it. I was safely out of the building when the plane hit. A fireball went through my office. Had I been sitting there, who knows what would have been.
Chef Michael, known for overseeing 3 popular Manhattan restaurants, including the famous windows of the World Restaurant on the 106th and 107th floors of One World Trade Center, had an appointment to get his glasses repaired at noon that day at the Lens Crafters in the lobby. He decided to see if he could get them repaired earlier. Around 8:15, Monaco stopped in to have his glasses repaired. He was delayed for half an hour, waiting for his glasses to be ready. As he headed back up towards the restaurant, he heard the rumble of the attack. Elise O'Kane. Elise tried to book herself to work on that flight, but the computer system froze up, and she was unable to complete the transaction and book flight 175. When she was finally able to log back in the next day, flight 175 was already full. Lara Lindstrom Clark. Lara was in a rush to get to work that day. She decided to jaywalk across the busy 7th Avenue to save a bit of time, but silver Mercedes went barreling down towards her. She recognized the driver, Gwyneth Paltrow. She waved her across and continued on her way. Lara ran down to the train platform but was a bit late, as doors were already shutting and she had to wait for another one. She only reached the World Trade Center station at 8:47. When the first hijacked plane slammed into Tower 1. Jim Pierce, cousin to President George W. Bush and managing director of AN Corporations, was supposed to be on the 105th floor of the South Tower that morning. When a meeting room proved too small for a conference, the location was switched to the Millennium Hotel across the street from the World Trade Center. Rob Herzog was supposed to be in his office by 8:45 a.m. on the 11th of September, but a trip to the post office near his apartment caused a brief delay. He could not board an express train, as it was too crowded. Herzog is claustrophobic, so he decided to wait for a local C train. Upon his arrival to the Twin Towers, the first plane struck. Herzog's office, Marsh & McLennan, was on the 96th floor. The company unfortunately lost 295 employees. many of whom were Herzog's close friends. Seth MacFarlane. Seth was supposed to board American Airlines Flight 11, but his travel agent listed the flight time as being 10 minutes later than it really was. After failing to board the plane, he went to the passenger lounge to sleep it off, as he had been drinking the night before. He awoke an hour later to the panicked sounds of other people at the airport who had just watched the plane hit the tower. After the second plane hit, the airline announced which flights had been involved in the attack. MacFarlane realized that the plane he was supposed to be on was the plane that crashed into the North Tower. On September 11, 2001, at 8:45 a.m. on a clear Tuesday morning, an American Airlines Boeing 767 loaded with 20,000 gallons of jet fuel crashed into the North Tower of the World Trade Center in New York City. The impact left a gaping, burning hole near the 80th floor of the 110-story skyscraper, instantly killing hundreds of people and trapping hundreds more in higher floors. As the evacuation of the tower and its twin got underway, television cameras broadcasted live images of what initially appeared to be a freak accident. Then, 18 minutes after the first plane hit, a second Boeing 767 United Airlines Flight 175 appeared out of the sky, turned sharply toward the World Trade Center and sliced into the South Tower near the 60th floor. The collision caused a massive explosion that showered burning debris over surrounding buildings and the streets below. America was under attack. Over 3,000 people were killed during the attacks in New York City and Washington, D.C., including more than 400 police officers and firefighters. While memories of September 11 elicit a flood of emotions, the lessons of that historic day should never be forgotten. And today, after 16 years, America is back and stronger than ever.